Tony.
Okay, hey, everybody got their jerseys? Okay, this is going to be an amazing show.
Yeah. By the way, Tony, remind me why we have these jerseys.
Well, it's obvious. Okay, fall is the season for sports parties and also entertainment.
All right.
What else better than to go in front of Vans? They've got an appliance store, all the new trends. We're going to show that today.
And we're lucky we partner with Vans on our appliances. There is so much in here. I'm excited. Espresso machine.
They've got it all. They've got a kegerator, guys. So seriously,
that's
we
my
go
favorite.
food, no
Get
sports.
ready.
Hey, come on.
Go deep.
I'll go deep.
Izzy, go deep.
Hey, they call me Izzy the Jet. Watch out.
I got him here.
I think
can't beat that.
I think I can throw
Hey!
farther than that one.
Welcome to Between the Studs. We are Granite Ridge Builders, custom builders serving northern Indiana, northwest Ohio, and also parts of southern Michigan. We have been building custom homes for almost 2 decades, and we're really passionate about what we do. So join us today as we explore the processes, the trends, and also tips that characterize today's new home. Thanks for watching.
Okay, here's some more.
Perfect. Thank
Okay, we got to get the show started. Where's Mike? Guys, where is Mike?
Mike.
Wait.
You guys would not believe how big of a dent this little ball could put in the side of a Porsche. That guy was not happy.
Porsche.
Thanks for paying for it, though, Tony. I appreciate it.
Well, I can give you a lot more than this.
He wasn't happy.
Okay.
Oh, hey, beautiful day in the neighborhood. Welcome back. We're here at Vans Appliances in Auburn. Tony, you got to remind me, though, why are we here?
Okay. Fall is actually the unofficial start of sports parties and entertainment. It doesn't get any better than this, so why not celebrate kitchens and also appliances and do it right here at Vans?
Right, you can't do food without sports. And by the way, I smell something.
I got the pizza in the end. You can't have a party without pizza, right? And beer. Now, speaking of which, the appliances here, you'd be amazed at what they have. They have the best, the newest, the trendiest. They have a kegerator over here. They have refrigerators with TVs built into it, so when you're walking up to get your beer out of the fridge, you won't miss any part of the game.
Well, we're joined today with Dustin Parker from Vans Home Center, and he's going to explain a little bit about the history of how Vans got started.
Well, actually, in 1973, in September, almost 48 years ago to the date, Van Dyck and his wife Mary Lou started Vans TV and Appliance. Hence the name Vans Home Center.
There we go.
So they started in Angola as a small mom and pop store doing mostly service on what they sold. They moved into the appliance retail, GE appliances and TV. And over time they had 3 beautiful kids, Van Jr., Doug, and Julie. 28 years ago, Doug took over the business, and we are where we're at today here in Auburn, Indiana. We currently sell all brands of appliances, furniture, bedding, flooring, and we do all the service on those items still to this day.
And you guys do an amazing job for us. So
Thank you.
We're so excited to be here and talk about appliances because the kitchen is the heart of the home.
Or the heartbeat, I would argue. Same idea, but heartbeat as well.
I don't know. I would say the kitchen is the place to find the tastiest foods, and the appliances are the key to making amazing culinary delights.
Okay, guys, let's start with this. Let's try to do kitchens and a little bit of history. How do we get to the kitchen that we have today?
The first kitchen was over 500,000 years ago, and is what we would call today camping. You're talking about a fire pit, stone hearths, and that's what they cook everything on.
Yeah, and then in the 5th century, the Greeks were salting, drying the meat that they had caught, and they were using a kind of a clay brick oven to do that, much like our pizza ovens, which I gotta check on the pizza here real quick.
And between the 1500s and 1700s, the wood-burning stove was developed, but the problem was it was smoky, it was dirty, and it had really poor ventilation.
Then there was what they called the pantry larder, and then the buttery, which had to do with the curing of milk. Then we moved to like the smokehouse, for example, and no, Tony, it's not where they smoked cigars. Smokehouse, and other pantries for food and for particularly milk and meat products.
And then there were the early colonial times when they moved over to the United States. They used fireplaces for all of their cooking needs and everything like that because of how readily available firewood was.
In the 1800s, we see all the components of a modern kitchen coming into focus here. We went from from coal to natural gas. We started seeing cast iron make a big appearance, which I still like to use today. We saw electricity and water make its way into the kitchen, and ice, but not the way we would think of it, getting it out of a refrigerator. Instead, it would be a hole in the ground covered with straw, and if you were lucky, you might have an actual ice house to keep your ice in.
Now, the modern kitchen was starting to become available, but plumbing was not yet. So in the 20s, there was what they called the dry sink, and you only had a wet sink with a pump if you were had wealthy means.
And in the 1850s, that's when everything changed with appliances. They started making cast iron appliances. Instead of just a stove, they made appliances with that. They'd get the water to boil, because again, didn't have plumbing, things like that. So that's when everything started to change up into the 1900s.
And then we're getting into 1902, where we had these stone grout sinks when they were going into those.
In the early 1900s, our kitchens did look a lot different. Our countertops were usually a stainless steel, and many of the kitchens had a butler's pantry. That's where you would store all of your dishes.
Now, right before the 1900s, in 1898, is when the invention of the Hoosier cabinet came into play, which is very, very popular. And it was around until about the 40s when kitchens became more prevalent. They didn't need the Hoosier cabinet, and the Hoosier cabinet was really the kitchen. It was where they stored their food. It's where they had their dry sink area, and that was what they used as their entire kitchen, was the Hoosier cabinet.
That's pretty small.
Yeah. And then in 1911, the GE created the first refrigerator, which just changed everything. And then in 1928, that first refrigerator came to the United States, and the first refrigerator cost more than the Model T, almost $200 more than what the Model T. So you could buy a car for cheaper than you could buy a refrigerator for.
Then in the early 1900s came the gas stove, and I can still remember some of those old stoves. You could smell the gas whenever that thing was lit. Remember those days?
I do.
Yeah.
1919, my favorite childhood appliance, the pop-up toaster, came about.
Yay, toast!
Then in the 1920s and 30s came along the blender, which we still use today. And then in 1928, the Sunbeam mixer.
All right.
Yeah, great time.
Okay, in the 1940s, a lot of things were going on. We just ended World War II. Everything was starting to boom. Refrigerators came out in mass production. 85% of people had refrigerators back then, but like Luke said, it cost a little bit of money. Colors, they just came out with enamel on the refrigerators. Can you imagine? Guess what colors? Red, white, and blue, but turquoise green, pink, canary yellow. Those were the colors, and they accented their whole kitchens with those colors. Butcher block came out, and also, I love this one, the bread box.
I have to say, I've seen those trends come back too.
Yeah,
They are.
absolutely.
Also in the 50s, they started really streamlining all of the appliances. They started adding some laminate countertops for the first time into things. They had chrome on the finishes when it comes to the cabinet pulls, and also a lot of the furniture was in chrome. And the appliances started to just come out of nowhere. You started getting milkshake makers. You started getting ice crushers. You started getting green bean pullers. I mean, all of those appliances all came out right after that World War II and the influx of people coming home.
And the 1960s were a really groovy time, man. we saw a lot of colors coming into schemes there with the, the bright oranges, the bold greens, turquoise. Ooh. But they had very interesting colors. And then we saw things like Teflon pans and pots, non-stick baking trays, and then the pressure cooker made a big appearance as well.
And then the 1970s, they were bold, flamboyant colors. We had the Harvest Yellow dishwasher and range. Remember that? And then this is really important. In 1972, the Mr. Coffee maker was invented.
There we go.
So, and then 1976, the slow cooker and the crock pot came about.
So in the 1980s, people realized they were spending a lot more time in these kitchens, plus they had all these vibrant colors and great appliances, so they thought, why not make this an open floor concept, which we still use today? And then kitchen islands started popping up, which made it a very versatile area. It could be a prepping station, it could be a homework station, it could be a family gathering area. And then the hottest appliance in the 1980s was the trash compactor.
Well, we don't even see that anymore either.
And then moving on to the 90s, you would see that streamlined process from the 80s move its way into the 90s as well. You're going to see a lot of those oak cabinets coming into style there. They're using slate backsplashes. And then in 1994, the George Foreman grill. That single-handedly got me through college.
Wait, that was an indoor one back then.
Yep, that brought the grilling inside into your own kitchen.
Well, we stepped it up a little bit in the 2000s because that's when the trend of McMansions were really popular. So the kitchens became the social hub of the home, and that's where everybody gathered. That's where kids would do their schoolwork. Kitchens really were the most important area of the home. And in those times, you see granite countertops becoming really popular with those McMansions and expansive kitchens. And then you also see the copper farmhouse sinks, which are still popular today.
So that's how the evolution of kitchens came about. That's how we are today. Now, we are here standing at one of the most unbelievable kitchens and most unbelievable appliance store in the country. So let's tell everybody now what the new trends are, so you're not going to want to miss this. Stay tuned. We're going to give you a little history about some of the appliances, but we're going to show you some trendy appliances I'll bet you didn't know they were made.
Hey guys, the pizza
Pizza ready?
Pizza.
We'll be with you in just a
Pizza
second.
first. Pizza.
We're here talking about kitchen and appliances, and it's really important to know the types of kitchens that we have in today's homes. So we're going to talk a little bit about all the different types of kitchens, the appliances. There's going to be so much to talk about today.
Yeah, Kayla, so let's talk a little bit about some of the trends and styles of kitchens that you'll see in homes today.
Absolutely. So you're going to see island kitchens. You'll have the L-shaped, galley, U-shaped, all sorts of different styles. Really does depend on the kitchen triangle. It's a really important feature to know the workflow of the kitchen, how the refrigerator is in relation to the sink and the range, because you really want to be very efficient when you're entertaining.
Yeah, Kayla, so we're really starting to see a lot of the industrial commercial type appliances work themselves into, regular residential kitchens. We're going to see huge industrial fridges, large restaurant style ranges with multiple burners,
You're going to see a lot of different things, like 2 sinks even. You're going to have maybe a prep sink and a large regular sink. I love that there's even cutting boards incorporated in sinks. With these kitchens, you're going to typically now have huge islands. They started off with 4-foot islands, then 6-foot islands. Now I think one of the homes we have in Grayson Heights is a 10-foot island, because it's all about entertainment. These aren't just kitchens. These are gourmet kitchens, because you're going to have all the latest appliances, all the hot trends and features, because like we said before, the kitchen really is the heart of the home.
Yeah. So let's talk about outdoor kitchens, Kayla. This is something that's right up my alley here. We really incorporate some of those outdoor cooking methods, the grill, smoker. You're going to have searing stations that you'll see in outdoor kitchens. It's really incorporating all of those sort of things into an outdoor living space that you can really enjoy. It brings that heartbeat of the home to the outside when you want to enjoy your exterior.
We've talked all about kitchens and we've talked all about outdoor living. Now it's time to get into some fun stuff, and let's go into the detail about all the appliances that you can see here at Vans and at Granite Ridge Builders. So we're going to go to some more segments.
Check it out.
I love all of this, stars.
We said that the kitchen is the heartbeat of the home, and certainly in the center of that heart is the stove.
And it's evolved over the years. They used to cook over an open fire, and thankfully we don't have to do that anymore.
Right. Then they had the stove in the house, and the stove provided some heat to the home and then also heat for the food. And then it moved to its own unit, to a stove.
And you could argue this is the most important appliance in your kitchen. So what we see a lot of are a freestanding range. So that's your combination of your stove and your oven. There's a lot of other things you can do in your kitchen. You could do a separate cooktop with a double oven.
Right.
And then we have some wonderful hoods behind us. You need a way to vent that stove.
Right. And you can vent it through a charcoal vent, which is inside the home, which a lot of people get by that way, or you can vent it outside. If you do a lot of cooking with spices and you like to fry fish and stuff, you may want to vent your stove outside.
Now they come in a lot of different sizes, but typically what we see is a 30-inch width.
Right. We call it a slide in. It's 30 inches. However, it's changing, and there's a lot of people looking for a larger unit, more cook space on top, and those can range anywhere from 36 to 42 or 48 inches wide.
Now your range could be anywhere from a few $100s up to a few $1,000s depending on what you choose. One important factor though when it comes to your cooking, you need to decide, do you like electric? Do you like gas? Do you have propane?
Right, and most chefs prefer gas because it's a little easier to monitor that cooking temperature.
Now what we have behind us is an exciting new appliance.
Yeah,
this is
sure
called a
is.
speed oven. This is a combination of your oven and your microwave, and you get oven quality food from it.
In half the time. That's the real key. Quality food in half the time. And so it can bake. It also acts as your microwave. I think you mentioned that, convection, and also spatial lighting, halogen lighting that brings out incredible taste in what you're going to prepare here.
What I love about it is you don't have to preheat it, so it's instant. Anything that's instant is great. So we have some rolls in here that typically would take you 22 minutes in the oven, and
or
Lonnie,
longer.
Yeah. We're just 9 minutes?
They're on 9 minutes. You can smell it. These things are prepared and prepared properly. We're really excited about this oven. Take a look at that.
This is a nice feature starting at about $2,500. This might be something you want to put in your new kitchen. Now, Lonnie, we have one stud tip though before we
do. Right now in this curtain client, it's a very good idea to talk to your builder, that'd be us, about the size of range you're really expecting and wanting. And also, you need to get those ordered early in order to have them there when your house is done.
Well, I'd argue this is the hottest trend when it comes to kitchen appliances, this coffee machine. Espresso actually dates back to 1884. So espresso, lattes, coffee, it's been around a lot longer than you think. Mr. Coffee Maker, that was invented in 1972.
Just in time for me to kind of take that on. So definitely Mr. Coffee is something that I've used throughout the years, especially throughout college, of course. And I like all kinds of coffee, but what's really wonderful about this machine is that no matter what style you like, we're talking bean to cup, and it's got every style that you can imagine. Anything from lattes, espressos, coffee, or even just like warm milk, which my mom used to do for me all the time as a child when I couldn't sleep.
Yeah, you're right. This takes a full bean. So this door opens and it has some compartments in the back. You'll see that it's really fast too. I know a lot of us spend a lot of time sitting in line waiting on our coffee. Can you imagine having this in your kitchen at home?
It really is an asset to have something like this that you can do. Again, a lot of times people are looking for this quality of coffee, and that's what makes you have to go to a store. But when you can take something like this into your home, boy, you can save time and money.
Well, Izzy, do you know how this all started with coffee? Back in Ethiopia, a herder noticed that his goats were jumping around and going crazy because they were eating the coffee beans.
Okay.
Now, over the years, the monks perfected roasting the coffee beans.
All right. And do you realize how coffee became so popular in America? Well, if we go back to about 1773, there was this little thing called the Boston Tea Party. And when that happened, tea was not readily available. Coffee took over and it hasn't relinquished its grip since.
Nope, I'll drink to that.
The refrigerator drawer?
Yeah. And by the way, Luke, you know what is considered one of the greatest top 100 inventions in all time?
Well, I'm assuming it's going to be the refrigerator.
It's the refrigerator, of all things. And what a history the refrigerator has, even to Fort Wayne.
Yeah, to Fort Wayne. The first refrigeration process actually took place when, in 1857, they hired an Australian engineer to figure out a way to make beer cold so it could be transported. So, of course, all ties back to beer. But to Fort Wayne, it wasn't until 1913 that you could get a refrigeration system in a house. And Wolf, who was out of Fort Wayne, designed that first mechanism. And what it was, it bolted to the top of your already existing ice chest. But before we get to that, maybe let's go a little bit back further in history.
Yeah, we're talking about in the old days. And by the way, we talk about the old days. We're not talking about that long ago, because I know my father-in-law and then, of course, my grandpa remembers buying blocks of ice and putting them in like the ground or in an ice house, putting sawdust around them and literally preserving that ice for a long, long time, sometimes for several months.
Right, and it's the only way they could really keep things cold. And then it kind of evolved into that ice chest that I mentioned, where you kept it inside, and it basically was like a cooler. And then Wolf designed this thing that mounted to that. And he also invented the ice tray. You know, those trays you fill with water and put in.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Fort Wayne of all places. That's neat. That's neat. Let's talk a little bit about how they've evolved and what sizes people are putting in today, that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, they started off with just this small appliance that people fit in their more compact kitchen. They've really made it because they've found that, okay, we can store a lot of things in here and it can be good for a long time. So let's make this bigger because we can take advantage of that. So you can see behind us, this is a really large refrigerator. And what's nice about this is it's fully customizable. And it's what's called an integrated refrigerator. So you see it ties right in with the cabinets. You don't even know it's there until you open the door.
This is what I think Tony mentioned about how appliances you're making them disappear.
Right.
That's a great example.
Exactly. So you have the main refrigerator here, but then you have a refrigerator drawer here, which can be kind of a flex space. And then we have a freezer drawer.
Wow,
and then behind me is a wine refrigerator. And you can make any sort of combination of this that you would want. So it's really customizable to what people need.
And typically today in a home, you're going to allow for about 36 to 40 inches of space. I think we typically do about 39 inches, don't we? Because a lot of refrigerators are 36 inches wide.
Right.
And the depth can vary a little bit, as you said.
Yeah. Now, we talked about the evolution. Technology is another side of things. This one is more hidden. You can go the opposite direction. You can have TVs built right into it where it can show pictures that you're taking or recipes.
Coffee. Yes.
You have refrigerators that have cameras built inside. So if you're at the store and can't remember how much milk you have, you can literally look at your phone and see, okay, I'm down to the last, quarter of a gallon. I better pick some more up. So
I can't believe refrigerators now tell me how to shop. But anyway, that's where we're going with it.
Right. Yep.
And we're probably talking about a simple refrigerator in the $1,000 range to thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And people are putting in larger and incredible, we'd call them almost commercial grade refrigerators in their homes.
Yes, they are.
Come and talk to Granite Ridge about your refrigerator.
One thing that I love about living in Northeast Indiana is there's a lot of surprises that people don't realize that happened right here. And Mike, what's one of the big ones?
Well, let's talk about the microwave, Tony. It was developed at Raytheon, of all places, a guy by the name of Perry Spencer. He was in there working on U.S. defense contracts, radar things, and he noticed when he was in one of the active experiments, he had a chocolate bar in his pocket, and it started melting. So he rolled with that. He's not the first to discover this, but he's the first to act on it and find out, hey, why is that happening?
When this was first developed, he called it the radar range. Well, that kind of had a little negative connotation to it, and it didn't do too well in sales, and then they switched it over to the microwave.
Yeah, and speaking of sales, for the first few years, this was this big, massive machine. It was as tall as us, weighed more than us combined. It was 750 pounds. So in the next couple of years, they were actually able to shrink that down and develop it for in-home use.
And now you have them as small as just about 12, 18 inches across, 8 inches high. And you see here, there's some beautiful things going on with them above stoves. We're putting more in pantries. We're putting them more integrated into the cabinetries. Microwaves are a big part of our family, a big part of our universe, and a big part of our kitchens.
At least 50% of my diet
well,
goes in the microwave.
I understand that.
Gosh, when we're entertaining, it's so hard to keep all the jerseys clean. Those pizzas were a mess. We got to get these
Better
going.
throw them in the wash.
All right.
All right, Kayla, so Lonnie and I talked about how refrigeration had its roots here in Fort Wayne, but another appliance that we're talking about today owes its history to Fort Wayne, and that's the washing machine.
There is a lot of history when it comes to washing machines and dryers a little bit, but I think you know a little bit about the washing machine here.
Yeah, so John Peters moved to Fort Wayne after the Civil War. He partnered up with Henry Paul, who started the Horton Manufacturing Company, and they developed the first self-contained washing machine. And by 1924, they were producing half of the world's washing machines that were getting put into new homes.
Now, dryers are something for me that are very important and super helpful today, too. We went from clothes dryers to, in the 1800s, what it started with was a crankable dryer, is what was invented first. And then in 1937, we had the first electric dryer, and it's grown from there. I love that in the 40s, we had the first glass ones for all the pets and kids to be able to watch what's going on in the dryer.
Right.
Now, today's washer and dryer is a lot better than the 15 hours. It really just takes a couple hours, and there are so many different options to choose from. And Vans here in Auburn has a lot of options, and at Granite Ridge, we know a lot about them too. But I love that there's so many great features to really help with your everyday life. We have dryers that have the wrinkle guard in them. We have the washers that have no agitators to be able to fit more things in them. There's really a lot of great features nowadays.
And there's different setups too. We can do the front loads like you see here, the traditional top load, or we can stack them, and they even have stackables now that use one control between the two of them.
I think there's even washer and dryers that have dual sets that you can even have two things going at one time for each type. So many different options out there. We love to talk washer and dryers, especially in this time with entertaining. There's going to be a lot of laundry coming up this fall, so come on out and take a look.
So I'm going to go in the Wayback Machine to when I was 10 years old, and I remember my aunt got her first dishwasher. And what it was a hose that you put and attached it to the kitchen sink, and then you wheeled the dishwasher over and you put it all in there, and that was my first experience with a dishwasher.
Well, my household had a dishwasher, but I still had to wash them before we put them in the dishwasher, so I'm not sure that I was much better.
That's because you were always in trouble with your parents, and that was your punishment.
It's possible. But really, in the 1940s, with the Industrial Revolution, with the war efforts going on, we saw a big push for the dishwasher becoming an integral part of the kitchen, because mothers had to do so much inside and outside the home that the dishwasher became an integral component.
Fast forward quite a few years, now we're looking at the modern day dishwasher. The modern day dishwashers, the one thing I love about these things is they are so quiet.
Yes.
You can have them running, you don't even know what's going on. They're integrating almost 3 shelves in there, and I'm not talking, 2 shelves in that little tiny skinny thing that you put the plastic lids on. I'm talking 3 full shelves on here that you can get your coffee mugs, everything else, and they're integrating them in. You saw a little bit ago about refrigerators and how they have the end panels and look like the cabinets. Dishwashers the same way.
And we're seeing high energy efficiency. So we're saving money on heating water. So the electricity, the water, all these components are being really more efficient with the modern dishwasher.
And Izzy, your wife called me earlier. She said that you need a new dishwasher, and while we're here, we get to pick it out. So why don't we pick at this?
It has to take care of wine glasses, baby bottles, all that kind of stuff. It's got to take care of it all.
And this one might have it. What about, nice stainless steel front in here.
These are so good, man. This is like my 3rd one.
Third, this is my 4th. You better catch up. Do you smell that?
I smell something burnt.
Guys, that pizza oven cooks really, really quick. So you're on your own for lunch.
That was lunch.
Hey, guys,
you don't want it.
Guys, we got to close, but I think we have just enough time to maybe talk about some of the specialty appliances we didn't get to today. Yeah. What about air fryers? We've heard a lot about those the past few years. They used to be just these standalone units, but now you can buy ones that are built right into your kitchen.
Yeah, speaking of built-in there, again, the vacuum seal options are really good too. Everyone's doing meal prepping, trying to use their more fresh food, so you can seal the food, keep it fresh.
And I find the steam oven very intriguing. This cooks with hot steam rather than hot air. One of the benefits is it helps keep the nutrients in your food. So if you're into healthy living and healthy food, this might be a great option for you.
And then there's also what they call the hydration center appliance. A lot of times it's related to this wild, crazy refrigerator that does all kinds of things, but it's everything to do with water. Cold water, hot water, carbonated water, RO water. Some would even say coffee qualifies. I don't know about that. But anyway.
It does.
Right.
We've been talking about the ultimate entertaining, and when you have ultimate entertaining, you absolutely need ice makers. So there's on-counter ice makers, there's under-counter ice makers, all sorts of different ones that are really great for your kitchen needs and entertainment centers.
And wineries and breweries have gotten crazy popular around this area, so why not bring that into your own home with a kegerator or a wine fridge? You can do all those tastings in your own living room.
Nice.
Wow. Well, I've got a really interesting one. This is one of the hottest and most interesting trends. That's hidden appliances. They're hiding the refrigerators. They're hiding the dishwashers, putting dishwashers in drawers now. So everything is hidden. You don't see it. And that goes along that modern movement that we've been talking about for so long now.
And we want to make sure you look good too. And they have the new steam closets that you can do. So you don't have to worry about going to the dry cleaners anymore. You just hang them up in here. A little bit later, it looks brand new.
That's not bad. Okay, guys, I think it's run out of time. Kayla, would you go ahead and play?
Absolutely. Thank you all so much for joining us today. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about who we are, what we do, and why we do what we do so well, please pick up the phone and give us a call. Visit our website, or even better yet, come in. We'd love to talk to you all about the state-of-the-art appliances you see today.
If you're not going to have that,
you're buying lunch after burning that pizza. You're buying.
Oh, all right. Don't worry about the camera. Okay. Just tell him the story like you're talking to him.
And just make him cry.
If you can make him cry, there's an extra C note.
Absolutely. Okay. We'll give you a slice of our pizza.
Non-stick baking trays, and of course the pressure cooker.
Pressure.
The what?
The pressure cooker?